It's been a busy week in the AI world. We're starting to see some high-scale applications of the numerous AI products that have been released over the past months, but also really interesting new developments as it relates to AI safety. While some people are still skeptical about AI, others are really putting it to good use, as is the case of the famous Beatles. Yes, the Beatles. There's been so much going on, so sit back, as in this episode of the AITELLIGENCE News of the Week, we review everything you probably missed. Talking about application, this announcement on the official website of Mercedes shows that they are collaborating with OpenAI this time to incorporate the features of the ChatGPT software into their cars. Now that's really interesting stuff here. And certainly, this is going to optimize the overall user experience with the voice assistants in these cars. And this will only be available in Mercedes cars that are equipped with the MBUX infotainment system. So basically, this will not be available for older models. And you'll see all this information here on the website. And it says right here, Mercedes-Benz is further expanding the use of artificial intelligence and integrating it into the voice control of its vehicles as the next step. By adding ChatGPT voice control via the MBUX voice assistants, Hey Mercedes will become even more intuitive. An optional beta program will start June 16, 2023 in the US for over 900,000 vehicles equipped with the MBUX infotainment system. And as you can see here, trials have already started in the United States, and this will be for the company to gather necessary feedback on the feasibility and performance before spreading out to other countries. And this is something I'm sure we'll be seeing more of in the coming months, because no company will like to be left behind in tapping the vast resources that are made available by AI. And speaking of applications, something really interesting happened that might just require that we take a little step back before fully embracing these new technologies. This is not really the first time we're hearing of hallucinations in ChatGPT, but OpenAI is presently facing a lawsuit with regard to this. So basically, ChatGPT generated details of a case and ended up dragging an unconcerned party into the case and even totally changing the details of the case. This suit on OpenAI is from a Georgia radio host named Walters, whom the AI had generated a case accusing him of some financial crimes, which included embezzlement. And this was when another person asked about the details of a case involving the state attorney. And the whole case involving the attorney was about abuse of power in judgment and not a financial crime. So what you see here is ChatGPT painting a whole new picture of what was asked and giving out a wholly different result. This puts the efficiency of this software in question when it comes to wider applications. And this is not the first case that has cropped up with regard to this. We should be calling attention to this right now, and they should be taken seriously because we all have knowledge of what fake news can cause in this day and time. We really have to start on time to mitigate these risks. And since the safety of AI is starting to gain traction now, I'm eager to learn what this summit that will be hosted by the UK on AI will be about. And it's really time for government actors to step in and look at these things. You must have seen in our previous videos this clip of OpenAI CEO Sam Altman before Congress on the issue of AI, and he was calling on government actors to step in and not just leave the whole matter in the hands of the big tech firms. I think the reason is mainly that these firms are likely to be so much more focused on the competition that they'll let anything go without proper scrutiny. So far, there are no details as to what we should expect from the summit, and as you can see here from the title of this article, it just says UK to host major AI summit of like-minded countries. But we have more information in this section of the publication, and it says right here, Sunak, who is expected to discuss the topic when he meets President Joe Biden Thursday, hailed AI as having an incredible potential to transform our lives, but stressed the need to make sure it is developed and used in a way that is safe and secure. So this might just be that talk that we need them to have with regard to regulation, and we look forward to seeing how this plays out eventually. However, there are indicators that show we might not be seeing something major with regard to the governments coming together like this. And you'll understand what I'm driving at when you go through this article that was published by the BBC earlier this year. Yes, they're making plans for some kind of regulation, but what might be seen will likely not be as encompassing as it should be, and there might not be any thresholds for these big AI firms in terms of how far they can go. And here's the reason I say this. In 2022, the UK recorded an amazing $5.6 billion revenue from AI alone. And this is one of the very first things you see in this article. So we might just be seeing governments being driven by the same goals as the big tech firms, which is profit, and rolling out the kind of regulations required to actually check these developments might tamper with this profit. And this section clearly highlights these fears. You'll read here, however, AI advocates say the tech is already delivering real social and economic benefits for people, and the government fears organizations may be held back from using AI to its full potential because a patchwork of legal regimes could cause confusion for businesses trying to comply with rules. Anyway, I really hope that the recent realities have changed some of these perceptions, and we look forward to more concrete resolutions from the coming summit, because we really need some safeguards to prevent any serious damage. And still, in the efforts to cushion the negative impacts of AI proliferation, we know that one sector that is most concerned is the education sector. Obviously, it will be pretty difficult to evaluate students when they have access to large language models like ChatGPT. And as you must have noticed, this software really does great in mimicking natural language, despite the flaws that it has with hallucinations and the like. I'd like you to take a look at this article here that says that some academics from the University of Kansas have claimed to have created another software that can be able to identify these AI-generated materials with 99% accuracy. And this might just lead to one worry about what parameters the algorithm must have been trained on. And I will note here that the algorithm developed is for scientific papers. Hopefully it can be replicated in other aspects. The method adopted here is that the researchers compiled datasets to train and test this algorithm by picking out research papers that meet the criteria for publications and prompted ChatGPT to create some fakes of these. And they were able to get the human-prepared versions of articles tailored according to the layouts for publications too, and they were able to make their samples from these. They said that the initial test did prove to be able to identify which was written by a human and that generated by ChatGPT perfectly. But the mark dropped to 92% subsequently. But those are really remarkable numbers to work with if you ask me. And here are some of the yardsticks with which the algorithm evaluated those samples. And you'll find here in this paper, but let me quickly read this. So they believe their classifier is effective because it hones in on a range of stylistic differences between human and AI writing. Scientists are more likely to have a richer vocabulary and write longer paragraphs containing more diverse words than machines. They also use punctuation like question marks, brackets, and semicolons more frequently than ChatGPT, except for speech marks used for quotations. However, no matter how desperately we might want these identifiers, we'll have to be careful not to complicate issues with them. And I hope that with more research and tests, we might just find some way to solve this problem. It's not yet very clear how controlled these tests they have here were, so embracing this totally might be a step in the wrong direction. And before I say this, I'd like to say that there's no doubt we need some regulation of some sort with AI, but we've had some mixed notions about the whole thing. Turns out, as some see AI as an end to human dominance, especially in workspaces, some see it as mostly beneficial. Not long ago, we saw some deepfakes of the musician Drake's voice being used to generate and circulate fake tracks, and this raised a lot of dust and panic at the time. When you go through this article here, what you'll basically find is that while some creatives think that AI might just be eliminating the human factor, which basically defines creativity, some others see it as something that will aid their industry, which in this case is the music industry. I mean, inspiration can be drawn from the versions created by AI, and here we have one great instance of exploiting the positives that AI comes with. The title of this article says it all. AI helps Paul McCartney release final Beatles song. Good news for the Beatles fans out there. What Paul McCartney and his team did here was that they were able to get an old demo with John Lennon's voice in it and were able to extract and clean it up using available AI tools for them to complete what they'd been working on before Lennon's death, which will be out later this year. It's really impressive, and there's no doubt that there's a lot more good stuff that can be done using these tools. Well, do you think we should focus on the positives and overlook or maybe lighten attention being drawn to the regulation of AI tools? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, subscribe, and watch our next videos, as that's where we draw the curtain for this one.